Nora Speaks is a weekly podcast that tugs at the soul and consciousness of the Black community. With show topics such as youth empowerment, education, women's impact, and civic engagement, Nora Speaks challenges the listener to not only join the movement, but be the movement. On the show, you'll learn from insightful guests who have demonstrated capacity in these fields and more, and I'm your host, Nora Muhammad. Welcome to the show. Welcome to episode 169 of the Nora Speaks podcast, and I am your sister and your host, Nora Muhammad. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Nora Speaks podcast. And, in this episode, I thought it was important for me to talk about the role of entertainers as it relates to us getting guidance, following guidance, and their influence on us. And in the Black community, more than any other community, entertainers are stood up in front of us as if they are thought leaders. And entertainers are not thought leaders. They are just that, entertainers. And more often than not, and more so than in any other community, we accept the influence of our entertainers in areas of our life like business, like politics, like morality, like parenting. And we take the wrong kind of, we put our entertainers in the wrong kind of role. Entertainers entertain. They are not those who are leading us on the front lines of change. And, I think that we should question why we allow that, and we should question why media pulls on our entertainers to come on their talk shows to talk about current events that are impacting the lives of the citizens of this country. And, a local minister is responsible for the people in his or her congregation that come to that church or temple or synagogue. That religious leader is responsible for those people. They have their feet on the ground. They're responsible for the area outside of that temple, church, synagogue, that local community. And they have experience in leading and guiding and interacting with people, with families, with serving the needs of the people. A local politician has experience with the needs of the people, impacting with government impacting the people, serving the people. They are interacting with the local community, and they're bringing those concerns to the state level, and the state leaders are bringing concerns from the state to the federal level. And we have those scientists that can deal with science, and we have the engineers who can deal with engineering. How is it that we bring our entertainers before us to get their take on significant affairs that are affecting families, children, the lives of hundreds, thousands, millions of people? Exactly when did somebody become an authority because they won a Grammy? Because their video on TikTok, is the most followed, because they have the most followers on YouTube? How exactly do we figure that someone who is an expert at singing, or maybe is not an expert at singing that these days, but how is it that someone who is paid to make us laugh, to make us cry, to play a role, to play pretend, to play make-believe, how is it that that person is now an authority that's going to talk to us about mass incarceration, about women's rights, about the liberation of our people, about political affairs? I mean, really think about this. I think of it in the context the time of the feudal ages where the kings and the queens, and of course there was no Instagram, there was no television, there was no cable, there was no Hulu, Netflix to entertain people. So they brought in clowns, right? The court gestures. These were the people that would be there to entertain, to make people laugh, to amuse us. And certainly you can give a political commentary in your art, but that person that is the clown, that is the court gesture, that is the entertainer, is not the authority. And they leave those issues to the authorities. At least they do in other communities. When you look at CNN or MSNBC, how is it that Cardi B, and no disrespect to the sister, Cardi B, however, how is it that we have all of these well-educated, well-trained black women? How is it that Joe Biden is having a conversation as he's running for office with Cardi B? Who is Cardi B? And we know that they're doing this because they want, the popular votes, and they're going to people who are the most popular, but she is not an authority in political affairs. And how is it that we accept this? And I know a lot of people had issues with this, not just me, but on a large scale. I'm bringing this up because I do not want us to miss out or to misread or misunderstand the role that entertainers should have in a society. I mean, we are taking advice from them on parenting. We're taking advice from them on governance. We're taking advice from them on politics. We're taking guidance from them on, criminal justice reform. Now, it is not that they don't have an opinion or that they shouldn't have a say. What I'm saying is we should not be listening to them as if they're authority. They are an authority on singing and maybe dancing and staging and costuming, and let them keep their expertise right there. But I do not want a defensive running back talking as if he represents us when it comes time to us making significant decisions for our people. I do not want a underdressed, vulgar female rapper with a pink wig, with a blonde wig, with stiletto boots on, sitting up in front of people, in front of the world, as if she is the authority or moral authority dealing with the affairs that impact our people. And I think that it is a slap in the face. I think it is an insult. When you look and you see these people, the comedians, they bring the comedians on to give commentary on social affairs, on political affairs. Black comedians, I'm saying. They bring black rappers, black singers, black actors, black sports figures. But when you look at the Caucasians that are on, they know that their entertainers are there to entertain, and the entertainers stay in their lane. Now, entertainers can support, they can lend money, they can create opportunities, but they are not the authority. And I'm grateful that I know better. I know that they are there just to entertain, and that we shouldn't take them for any more than that. Because what exactly makes a singer suddenly an entertainer? Because she or he won a Grammy, because she or he won a Tony, won the Super Bowl, won the NBA championship, won a Stanley Cup. They are not the ones that we should be following for guidance. No other group of people follows their court gestures, their clowns, their entertainers in social or political affairs like we do. And I want you to really do an examination so you don't think I'm just being hard on our people, but really look at those folks that represent those communities. They are experts in the field. It is just like a political strategist should not be directing someone in the films, right? In the music videos. They're not the producer in the studios because that's not their lane, right? So we know that everybody has their lane that they operate in, that they rule, that they control, that they are the authority in. It is not for us to take those who, I mean, I've seen Lil Wayne giving political commentary. I've seen Ice Cube giving commentary. Now, they may be great entertainers, but that's as far as I want their leadership for our people. But I want those who are on the ground, who are trained, who know the ins and outs, and who are political savvy, who are intellectuals to lead the intellectual conversation. And when we see our entertainers come out, whether they know it or not, sometimes they make themselves look foolish, right? We have Kanye West, who is sitting in the White House with Donald Trump. We have Dennis Rodman, who's going to North Korea to meet. I mean, what is this? What is this? We need to let the leaders lead, let the authorities speak to their authority. And if your realm of experience is on the stage, is on the screen, then stay on the stage and stay on the screen and keep your authority there and support those who are in those roles of responsibility to lead people on those levels and in those areas where they have authority. And we have to stop letting people disrespect us by putting our entertainers in front of us as if they are some kind of authority, and they are not. No other community like the Black community follows their athletes who are playing games. I mean, they play for a living. Imagine being able to play for a living, dancing for a living. And I'm sure that all of them can contribute in a meaningful way to conversations, but they should not be taking the place of those folks who have the knowledge, who have the meaningful experiences. We should not let them take the place of those people who should be sitting in the seat of authority, leading these conversations. We should not let them denigrate us, embarrass us, and belittle us in such a way. So I encourage you, to verify what I'm saying. You can go on Fox News. You can go on CNN. I wonder, why in the world does Don Lemon want Jay-Z or want Dave Chappelle to speak to the issue of George Floyd? And I'm so glad that Dave Chappelle said, no, we have the people to do it. I don't need to do it. I'm a comedian. I'll express my thoughts through my art of comedy. But there are the qualified people to do it. And I respect Dave Chappelle so much when he said that. And I was very curious about why Don Lemon wants an entertainer to come on and speak. We know what the issues are. It's not going to get more real to us because Jay-Z says it's real, because John Legend says it's real. Let's let the entertainers keep entertaining us, and let's let the leaders speak to the issues that impact us the most and the greatest. So I want to thank you for listening. I don't know if this was a rant or what, but, we just have to prioritize, and we can't let other people call our priorities for us. We can't let them put people in front of us that are not qualified to do the job. The same way Al Sharpton or Mark Lamont Hill is not qualified to be running up and down the 50-yard line, right? That is the same way that Lil Wayne is not qualified to be speaking to our political, moral, and social issues, nor our educational issues. I mean, we have to do better, and we have to expect more. The challenge is that many of us do not know what it is that we should be expecting. So I hope that this podcast and this episode is helping to inform that for you. I want to thank you for listening to the Nora Speaks podcast. I'm always happy and grateful to share on this podcast and to be of service to my community. If you are not a subscriber, I encourage you, subscribe to the Nora Speaks podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Spreaker, wherever you're listening or wherever you like to listen to podcasts. Thank you so much, and until next time, stay in peace. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Nora Speaks podcast. Be on the lookout for a new episode coming at you fresh next week. And as always, if you want to learn more about me and the work that I do, visit my website, norahmuhammad.com. Or if you have a listener question, email me at info@norahspeaks.com. You can also follow the Nora Speaks podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Nora Speaks Podcast. I'll be sure to include links in the show notes. If this show has value to you, please subscribe, rate, and review, and share it with family and friends. And be sure to check out previous episodes. And remember, don't just join the movement, be the movement. Stay in peace.